withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
All right, it is 7:30 on a Thursday, so John Giles is in studio for the evening. 53106 is the text number if you have any questions for John. I wish you were here during the news round. You could have backed me up on the love of musicals.
Oh, yeah.
These modern footballers are uneducated and unappreciative of the arts.
Oh, my mother was into music. My father was as well. And like in the old days, I come up in Dublin, working class, and used to have the Hoolies, Nathan. And everybody was expected to do a number, you know.
All right.
Yeah, and good. You know, they were in the markets area, but they were expected to do it. See, in those days, they didn't have, like, music that we have today, and nobody had a record. I remember my mother getting the first record player.
Right.
Radio was the big thing.
What year would that have been?
That would have been, well, I was brought up in the 40s, so that would have been like 1945, 46, 47, 48, up to the 50s.
Yeah.
And the Hoolies were the big thing. But they could all do a number.
Yeah.
Really, really good, you know. Not of the day, like those days, Nat King Cole and Perry Como and Al Jolson, but they all knew they knew all the stuff.
And was that your mum would be up singing?
My mother?
Yeah.
My mother was very shy, but she would, she was
what was the party piece?
Her party piece was...
I'm putting you on the spot now.
Yeah. What was the comedian with the hat, the English lad?
You're putting me in the spot now.
Yeah. I'll think of it in a minute.
Tommy Cooper?
It
was before.
No, not Tommy. No, not Tommy Cooper.
We'll come back to it.
I'll come back to it. But you were talking about musicals earlier on, and Showboat was a musical at the time, you know.
Right.
And but all the
you were
people,
a fan of? West Side Story?
Oh, yeah, that was my favourite musical.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Showboat was my second favourite. But the people around our area at that time would know all those songs at the time. And they always had... my mother's was "Don't Laugh at Me because I'm a Fool." You ever hear that one? "Don't laugh at me because I'm a fool." It was one of the... Norman Wisdom was the comedian.
Right.
And Norman Wisdom was a good singer, you know. He's a top comedian. But he had a few hits, but that was one of them anyway. She liked Norman Wisdom singing.
You like a bit of sing-song
My father was a Bing Crosby man.
Right. That's where you got it from.
My mother was a Frank Sinatra one. My father hated Frank Sinatra.
Where did you fall down?
I probably would have gone with Bing a bit. You know, I was more Nat King Cole at the time, though, and Perry Como, rather than either of those. There'd be no rows over it, but
it'd be a talking point. We better get on to the football, I suppose.
Yeah.
And there's really only one place to start. Your former club, Leeds United, have been across all the headlines this week, and the pretty remarkable story, Marcelo Bielsa and that brilliant press conference in many ways yesterday. Firstly, the start of all this, it came from a member of the Leeds United staff being found spying on Derby County ahead of the game last week.
Yes.
Do you have any issue with spying on opposition training sessions?
I don't think... well, to be honest, in my day now, I never heard of it, Nathan, and I wouldn't agree with it anyway. I mean, I never did it. I never thought of doing it. Wouldn't believe in doing it. I think the actual spying thing is exaggerated. I don't mean what he did is exaggerated, but the actual spying on the team on the Friday night is exaggerated. The benefits, very, very much so, Nathan. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and I don't agree with what he did. And his response to it, as we know, has been, "I've always done it." And what he did yesterday was very, very clever with the newspaper lads, where he showed them that he'd known Derby, watched them 6 or 7 or 8 times before. So
51 times, he said. They'd analysed 51 games.
Yeah. So I'd have to say to him, well, why do you bother to go down on a Friday to see them if you know everything about them? What's the point to it? There's no gain in it. You know what I mean?
Well, he almost said, I think in some ways he admitted that himself. He said even the analysis of watching 51 games, and he said each of those 51 games took 4 hours of analysis. He said it doesn't come to anything, but he just doesn't feel as if he's properly prepared if that work hasn't been put in.
He's right in what he does, because you don't know what you're missing or not missing until you actually see it. I can understand why he's doing it, but if with the experience that he's had over the years, and it counts to little or nothing, then you'd have to say in this day and age, well, why do you do it? You know, well, what he's saying is, well, where I come from, it's not illegal, but it's not. To be honest, I never ever thought of doing it when I put out, and I didn't believe in watching the opposition all that much. Anyway,
so would you have done any opposition analysis?
Very little, because
what would you have liked to have known? What would you have liked to have known ahead of a game about the opposition?
Well, the main thing you know is from corner kicks, free kicks, what they do. That's right. Like, no matter what you knew about, in my day, I played against Bobby Charlton on a regular basis. I knew what Bobby Charlton could do. But how do you stop him? Do you know what I mean? Like, I played against Best and Charlton in my Leeds days. You knew what they could do. But how do you stop them? That's what great players do. It's exaggerated. And my take on football, when I played and in management, I played with Leeds for 12 years and 11 years under Don Revie. After 11 years, and Don really was great for detail, one of the best organised teams ever, right? At the 11th year, we still didn't have it right. We were still learning, right? That was with a great team who were winning trophies, right? And the point I'm making there is that, for example, we played Swansea in the Cup one year. They were in the 4th division. And on the Friday, of course, their coach who came up to watch the week said, I've seen weakness in the Leeds team, right? What about the weakness in your own team? See, my take on it always was, if the only team you have control of is your own team, right? So if you get your team doing everything that you want to do, you will naturally expose the weakness in the opposition. So there's no great point in concentrating on the weaknesses of the opposition. If you've got weaknesses yourself, put them right.
Yeah.
Put them right. And of course, you have to watch the opposition, and in my day, you'd know them because you played against them year after year. You respect them. And definitely corner kicks, free kicks, throw-ins. But you've played against them the year before, and there's no great secret in it. Do you know what I mean?
I guess in the Championship in particular, even though Bielsa says he's done this throughout his career, managers change so quickly, players change so quickly that from season to season there can be quite a turnover. The team you play, the Derby team of this year under Frank Lampard, is very different to a year ago.
Well, is it? You know, see, this is the point I'm making. Of course, they have different players and new players. But, I mean, there's nothing so startlingly different in football. You know, like, it's about players, about good players, what they do on the day. And if I'm playing against Bobby Charlton, I know what Bobby Charlton's going to do, right? Stop him, and he does something else. Like, this is what makes good players. I mean, if it was that stereotyped that you say, that Joe Bloggs does that, we'll stop him doing that. Like Messi playing. Look, Messi, everybody knows how Messi plays. They played against him time and watched him time after time after time, but they can't stop him. But the whole general point, what I felt anyway playing football, get your all team in order, right? And I'm saying I played with Leeds for 11 years under Don Revie, and up to the last day he was there. We still didn't get it right, 100%. So you never get very few managers get their own team right without worrying about the opposition. Of course, you've got to respect the opposition. And if you're playing against, I played against Tony Hateley, for example, who was great in the air. Of course, you're going to mark him from corner kicks. You know that. Throw-ins, you have to be quick, but you know that before you go out. But you have to concentrate. Now you have to concentrate. What are we doing? Are we doing everything right? No. Let's put everything right that we can. Then you take on the opposition. There's only one ball on the pitch, Nathan, and if you do all the things you want to do right, you will naturally expose the weaknesses in the opposition. So, like last week, I don't think he was right to do what he did. I think it was clever in the way he responded to it by saying, I didn't do anything illegal, but it would be against the spirit of the game. Now, I saw Martin Keown talking in the paper today, where he said he was, I think he was a bit disgusted about it. It's about the game and being fair. And at the same time, he's admitting when he played, he did a few things that weren't exactly right.
Yeah, where do you draw the line?
Well, where's the draw the line now? What about the diving and messing about? I'll tell you what, he does have to learn, the Leeds manager, to control his team from corner kicks and free kicks, where they're one of the most ill-disciplined team that I've ever seen, with pulling and pushing, and you're going to pay the price for it one of these days. I think he should concentrate on that, and he'd learn more and win more matches from with that than looking at the opposition.
Well, I did wonder on that side of it whether yesterday was interesting because he basically revealed Derby's tactics for 51 games to the entire world, but revealed very little actually about Leeds and what he does.
There's not that, honestly. I know I don't mean to interrupt you here, but there's very little that you'd learn from the opposition in tactics. Do you know what I mean? There's so much made of tactics now; it's totally exaggerated. And when you go out on the pitch, there's a ball there, and you have to play. Right? You can come out with a tactic, but tactics, and what footballers and what the great players are made of, is doing what's right in that particular incident. You know? Now, obviously, if they've got a big centre forward and that and there's corner kicks, you've got to be aware of that and you've got to come. But the actual play, and I see about and hear about tactics, got to change their tactics. Right? I've seen a match one time where this team was playing rubbish. There was 3 down at half time, and it came to one of the analysts at half time. And they were passing the ball all over, kicking the ball out of play, doing all sorts of things wrong. What have they got to do? Well, they've got to put another player in the middle of the field. They've got to push the fullbacks forward. Well, they didn't have to. They had to play with the ball. They had to actually pass the ball to each other. That's the tactic. You know, obviously you've got to have a formation. You've got the fullbacks and the. But is that a tactic, or is the extra man in the middle of the field a tactic? You still got to go and play the ball. You know, play ball. So there's too much made, I think, of the tactics. I mean, Derby, like everybody knows, and what he did was very clever. Actually, I think the journalists enjoyed what he was doing because he was pointing out what Derby do and didn't do, and I think they were fascinated by that, which is great. But he knows that. He doesn't have to go spying on them to do it. And if Derby do a certain thing, I mean, again, you go back to the great Barcelona team when Messi and
Xavi and Iniesta,
all these guys were great players. How do you stop them? You know, how do you stop Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law from? How do you stop them? Because if you do that, they do something else. That's what great players do. There isn't any one way of doing it. You know, that's what great players do. They understand the situation very, very quickly, adapt to the situation. You say, Bobby Charlton said, you send him down the right side on his right foot, on his left foot.
Do you not give yourself every chance, though, say with the level of detail that is available and the fact that every match is now videoed, that I guess yesterday in some ways was a show of strength of how hard he works, that he's ruling out. So you say, like, and he would have come up, say, against Barcelona, and you mentioned that after losing to Barcelona, Pep Guardiola said, you know more about my players than I do. Maybe that backs up your point that he still lost the game.
He lost the game 3-0.
You're ruling out, so you come up with 50 different ways to stop Messi, Iniesta and Xavi, and if Barca find a 51st, you say, fine, but they're not going to run all over us. They're not going to do what they usually do. They'll come up against something different when they play us.
They beat them 3-0 on today. I think what he was saying as well, that if he doesn't do this, he's actually bored. And he feels that he's not doing... he's right in many ways because no matter what... If you look at a match and you say, well, I saw that team playing 10 times before, it doesn't mean you don't learn something from the 11th match. And I think that's what he was trying to say. You know, he was saying, I've seen all these teams before. I've had them on the thing, but there might be something. And if there's something that I'm missing, I can't rest.
Yeah, I won't sleep at night if I think there's something out there that's available. It's
a bit of an illness, really, in many ways.
It's an addiction.
You know what I'm saying? Because he can't rest till he actually sees it. And when he sees it, he said, well, I haven't learned anything there, which is okay. As long as you don't have to overdo it. You don't have to have people spying in the trees to see what they're doing when you've watched them 10 times, Nathan. Do you know what I mean? But what he's saying is, I can't help myself from doing it. That's what he's actually saying. In other words, he's saying, there's no great benefit in it. We didn't get any benefit from it, because we knew what they would do. Yeah. But my personality is such, and my mind is such, that I'm bored, or I feel that I should be doing it. It's a bit of an illness in certain ways. Yeah. I can understand what he's saying, because, you know, like when you're in management, obviously, when I was in management, I'd be watching, say, Manchester City play, and say, well, nothing I really learned there. But I've watched it. So there's a peace of mind about it, just in case you have. Now, he's carried that to the extreme levels, real extreme, you know. But when they talk about, well, you know, cheating and that in the game, is it cheating? Well, it's not right. They shouldn't be doing it. But what he's learning and benefiting from is very, very little when you consider what's actually is happening to his own team, Nathan. I tell you, I'll guarantee you in the next few weeks, they will lose a couple of penalty kicks that could be vital to them, because they're one of the most disciplined teams I've seen playing for grabbing and doing that. They're doing it very, very badly, and they'll be found out. Now, what I would say in the overall thing, he should be concentrating on that. Stopping that in his own team. You can control that and stop that. Whereas he's letting that go, and he's watching a match the team that he knows everything about anyway. So I would say we should prioritise what his own team are doing, or certainly not doing, in terms of discipline.
It's obviously going very well for them in the Championship. They're 4 points clear at the top. What's the word that you're hearing around Leeds for Bielsa? I get the sense there's a lot of love from him, particularly after this, a bit of a siege mentality for the rest of the season.
It will, and where he's been very clever in doing this particular thing, he's admitted it. He hasn't tried to cover it up. What he's saying was, I've always done it. There's nothing illegal in it, and I'm not learning that much from it anyway. Now, again, I don't think he should be doing it. I think there should be a law that it is illegal in football. To do it,
yeah.
But anyway,
that'll come in.
But how he's doing.
I
was at Leeds last week. I was up at Leeds last week, Nathan, because Eddie Gray got in touch with me to go to. They're doing stones around the Billy Bremner.
About the former players.
For some of the former, they put my thing down, and then supporters buy into the whatever. I don't know exactly how it works, but I went up. It's always nice to go to Leeds, and I've seen Eddie and Peter and a few of the lads, and. I was doing a bit for the radio, local radio, and I was up there at 2:00 to meet somebody because the movie, and there was nobody there at 2:00. There was 3 lads there. Oh, that's great, they're here on time. There were 3 Irish lads. There was loads of Irish
back over,
and the atmosphere around Leeds is unbelievable. Now that they're looking like they're doing something, well, they are doing something, not looking like they're doing it, which is very, very good. So there's a great atmosphere around the place. I think they had, 39,000 there.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it?
At the match last week. They were great, yeah.
Yeah, all right, plenty more to talk about. 53106 is the text number. John Giles in studio live with us this evening. Do get in touch.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the new and improved Boyle Sports Bet Builder. Now with 44 markets to choose from on every match.
The big clearance event is now on at Curry's PC World, with incredible deals across Ireland's largest range of home appliances and technology, plus free delivery on all large kitchen appliances. Get big savings of €500 on the DeLonghi Bean to Cup coffee machine, only $399. Save up to 40% off Canon cameras, and there's even up to €480 off large screen TVs, with better than half price on Samsung soundbars. Big clearance savings in store and online at currys.ie. At Curry's PC World, we help you get it right.
Fed up with not getting much for €1 these days? Well, now you do with Everyday Savers from Dunnes Stores. Over 1,000 quality everyday items, many for €1 or less. Like fresh Irish eggs, just €1. Wholesome Irish porridge oats, a tasty €1. And fresh lamb's lettuce, just €1. Plus, you save even more with our €10 off every 50 grocery voucher. So for healthy eating and great value, save with Everyday Savers from Dunnes Stores. Always better value. See online for terms and conditions. Minimum spend required.
Welcome to the Ford Innovate 191 sales event, driving better SUV value for you. Take the new Ford EcoSport, featuring Ford Sync navigation with touchscreen, Ford Pass with Wi-Fi connectivity, rear-view camera, parking sensors and cruise control. And right now, you can order a 191 Ford EcoSport with an amazing 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assistance and 2 years free servicing, all from just €23,525. Ford Innovate, driving better value for you. See it for yourself at your local participating Ford dealer. Offer ends January 31st. Ford, go further. Price excludes delivery and related charges. Terms and conditions apply. See Ford.ie for details.
Lisa likes the window seat at night. The lights below that tell her she's nearly home. Then there's the lights she can't see. The runway lights we power to bring her planes safely into land. And because at Energia we also power all of Ireland's streetlights, Lisa's taxi home is that bit safer too. And no prizes for guessing who powers her house. Welcome home, Lisa. Energia, the power behind your power.
For the joy of finding somewhere new that's not so far away. For the chance to let their imaginations run wild. For the playgrounds that go on forever. For anyone planning their next holiday, sail and stay in France and save 15%, even during school holidays. Visit brittanyferries.ie now.
Yeah, so I'm now benching 140. That's pretty much elite standard for my body weight. It's way ahead of the other guys in the gym. Did I tell you I'm also...
Zero interest in hearing about a gym bunny's heroics on a first date. Well, here's something you'll actually be interested in. Switch to Avantcard for great introductory credit card offers on money and balance transfers for up to 9 months. Find out more at avantcard.ie.
My abs are so ripped.
Limited time offer. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. New applications only. Avantcard DAC trading as Avantcard is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Having a flutter? Top tip, quinbet.com. Ireland's newest online sportsbook and casino. For all your horse racing, football, casino and more, QuinBet has you covered. With live in-play markets on mobile, PC and app. QuinBet.com. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Visit gambleaware.ie.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
All right, John Giles is live in studio. We're on all our social channels. You can leave a comment there if you have any questions for John, or 53106 on text. I want to talk about Declan Rice because we've spoken about him a lot over the last 6 months regarding eligibility. Will he, won't he play for Ireland? And probably actually haven't spoken that much about him as a player and what he's doing. And well, he's front and centre now after scoring his first Premier League goal against Arsenal last weekend, gets the Man of the Match award. He's been linked with Manchester City, Manchester United. Suddenly it seems as though he's the future of English football, of the Premier League, 50 million quid. Is he all that from what you've seen?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's a shame we didn't qualify him. Did Martin have an opportunity to qualify him?
He did, but in fairness to O'Neill, I think he said that he played him in 3 games, 3 friendlies, but that he didn't want to hold him hostage basically and say, I'm putting you out if you're not ready. So now it may. At the time, I think O'Neill felt he was doing the right thing, and it's hard to disagree with that.
His principles, all right. I wouldn't necessarily agree with them because the way the game is, it's you take your chances as you go along. He was always going to be an outstanding player, Nathan, and he's proven to be an even better player than he promised to be.
What's he got?
Well, first of all, he's a very good footballer. He's a very, very strong physical lad who's playing in the middle of the field and playing very, very well. Now, I think if you were picking him in the best position, it'd definitely be centre back.
Okay.
But because he's so valuable, he's a bit like Brian Robson, right? I played with Brian Robson when he was young at West Brom. Brian Robson could play anywhere, left back, centre back. He's playing off the centre half was without question his best position. He could read the game well. He was a good header of the ball. He was a good tackler. But he was too valuable as a midfield player to put him in that position.
Because my memory of Brian Robson was that he was box to box. It was energy. He could cover so much ground.
He did that, but he could play. He wasn't a Bobby Charlton, but he was a great tackler of the ball. He could win the ball well. He could read the game well. He was a good header of the ball, and he'd get you a few goals. We played Ipswich one night, having taken a hiding from Ipswich in those days with Bobby Robson, 7-0 at Ipswich on my birthday. And 6 weeks later, we played him at West Brom and beat them 4-0.
Right.
And Brian scored a hat-trick from midfield.
Yeah.
Right? So he was if I was picking the best position for Brian Robson, I'd pick him up playing off the centre-half. He could do it in his sleep. But he was too valuable a player as a midfield player to do it. Now Rice is or put him in the same position as that.
Yeah.
To play at the back for Rice.
Is it not a very different skill set playing as a central defender and as a box-to-box midfielder?
It's easier. It's easier. If you're playing the centre-half position, right, first of all, and you've got the attributes to win the ball in the air and tackle and read the game, it's a doddle for these guys, for Robson and Rice, if you wanted them to do it. But when you're playing in midfield and he can do his stuff in midfield and score a goal, it's like if you've gone on the transfer, buying 2 players, right, for 70 million nowadays, and you had one that was a specialised centre-half, and somebody like Rice who can do it in both positions, you'd go for the guy who can do it in both positions. Because if you put Rice back in the middle of the back 4, it'd be easy for him now. He's got everything in front of him. You don't have to be creative. You win the ball, you're marking people. It's not an easy, don't get me wrong, but it's a much easier position than playing in the middle of the field. And a good centre-half would be, on the transfer market, would be worth X amount. A good midfield player of equal ability would be much more expensive. And you go that then to centre forward, goal scorers are more expensive because it's a more difficult game. The further you go up the pitch in football, the more difficult it is to play. So he can play. He's playing exceptionally well in the middle of the field. But I wouldn't be surprised at some stage. Well, England are not well off if he does go with England. For us, he'd definitely be playing in the middle of the field.
Well, Mick McCarthy said that he wants to build his team around him. No question about it. Now, if he plays for England, don't be surprised if he plays in the back 4. Yeah.
Because if they have midfield, but they don't have anybody as good as him in the midfield anyway. That's how valuable he is. He's a big, strong lad. He's mobile. He's a good football brain. Passes the ball well. Gets you the odd goal. And I keep hearing me mentioned as the defensive midfield player. He's very good defensively, but he can get forward as well. Like as you know, I don't agree with the term designated holding midfield player because most of them are expected. This lad does that and plays.
Well, he said Pellegrini had been at him about getting forward more and scoring more goals.
Scoring more goals. What's wrong with it?
Because I guess probably even for younger players coming through, when they hear this defensive midfield term, they can probably feel quite comfortable. They don't need to take as many risks. It's easy to be a defensive midfielder.
They don't take any risks.
Yeah.
They don't want the ball. I've seen it. I mean, I know he plays for Dyer, for example. Dyer does and the managers obviously expect him to do that. But as long as he could get on the ball, I said, no, I'm the defensive midfield player. I sit back. And the only time he comes into the game is when you lose the ball. But if you get forward at the right time, you don't lose the ball anyway. And lucky enough, I don't think Pellegrini is not into it quite like he knows. Of course, he's a good defender, Rice. It doesn't stop you getting forward at the right time, Nathan. That's what he's doing. In other words, he's an all-round player, a bit like Kante at Chelsea at his best when he was playing in the middle field. Nobody won the ball more than he did.
Yeah.
But he got forward. He didn't sit behind the defenders and let them get on with it.
Like, that's huge praise for somebody who, I think he turned 20 on Monday.
Yeah.
When you're looking at players of that age, and you've always said, players should automatically get better, particularly midfield players, their awareness, everything should improve as they get older. When you look at a player at 19, 20 playing at that level, what are you looking out for? What are the pointers that suggest he's going to go on and achieve the greatness that people want him to?
Well, first of all, he looks for the ball. He takes responsibility for it. And then when he does get the ball, he's well able to use it. And he scored a goal last week, and I think he will score more goals. When he doesn't have the ball, he wins a lot of tackles and disrupts the opposition. What more do you want? Do you know what I mean? I'd pay 50 million for him now, because I'm thinking 4 or 5 years' time, he's going to be worth double that. He's just a top-class player. That if we can get him, would be absolutely fantastic. And hope we do get him. And we've got Redmond mentioned in it. And I think what Mick is doing very well, he seems to be getting around players that we didn't go for before. Like, he seems to know Redmond. I never heard of Redmond being any way associated with us.
Yeah, his mother was
saw him coming on last night. Did you see him in the match?
Yeah, scored a great goal.
Very good. Wouldn't he be great for us?
Yeah.
We had Redmond and
well, it changes the entire outlook for probably the next 5-10 years if Declan Rice declares for Ireland.
Oh, definitely. No, I'd go for him. I think if you say he's worth 50 million now, I think in 2 or 3 years' time he can only get better and be worth more. I think he's a terrific prospect. Well, he's more than a prospect now. I think he's a real player. He's very young. He's mobile. He's big. He can tackle. He can score a goal. He do all the things that midfield players want to do. So you don't have him. If somebody said, "What sort of a midfield player is he?" I'd say he's a midfield player. He's not a designated holding midfielder. Because the thing about the holding midfielder, I know I keep going on about it, Nathan, and I hear all the pros and all saying it. He allows the other midfield players to go forward. Now that's the biggest load of nonsense going. Where's the ball? Right? The midfield player gets forward in relation to where the ball is at the right time. They're not free to go forward. In other words, say the midfield player, the holding midfielder has it, and the two players are allowed to go forward, and they start running forward, and it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah,
you have to do the right thing. So the designated holding, the 3 midfield players are midfield players, and they should be defending at the right time and attacking at the right time when there's an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, a lot of praise for Declan Rice. There's no doubt about that. Just before we wrap up, you're very good at bursting these urban myths from time to time. Last night we were talking about Bielsa and the Spygate and things that go on in football, and somebody texted in saying that Don Revie, you send flowers to the wives of referees before matches.
Now that's exaggerated.
Exaggerated or untrue?
I never heard of that. I mean, Don Revie was accused of loads of things, but Don Revie was a Yorkshireman. I don't think we send flowers to anybody, not even his wife. No, I never heard that, Nathan. I mean, you do hear a lot of things that Don Revie was supposed to have done, but that wasn't one of them. Don's attention to detail at the time was beyond the other managers. Now, I played for Don. I always felt that was exaggerated,
right,
to be honest. Not that he did it, but he did do it, but I thought his emphasis on the opposition was exaggerated, And I was a great admirer of Don's, but when you're a player, in my opinion, you let the manager get on with it. But I remember playing in a match against, I think it was Sheffield United, right? And Don used to have a meeting on a Friday, and Sheffield United did this, Sheffield United did that, Sheffield United did that. And I came to Manchester United, and I was walking out with Norman Hunter. I said, Norman, is that the same Sheffield team we hammered 6-0 5 weeks ago? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, again, just to go back to Don, see, when I went to Leeds first, it was a very, very young team. Norman Hunter, Paul Greeny and all the attention to detail was brilliant and essential. But when that was in 63. When we got to 68, 69, Norman Hunt and these lads were 6 or 7 years older and really mature players. And I think Don, being so close, didn't see it.
Right.
He didn't see us mature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was still worrying about the opposition rather than just trusting it.
Yeah. And there was a great example of that. Now, and I'm a great admirer of Don's. He was one of the great managers. At Christmas time of 1971, we went in the chase for the league. We were 4th or 5th. And I remember Don having the meeting. He said, right, forget about the league. Forget about it. We're going for the cup as soon as the cup starts in January. We had the best spell that we ever. That was the time in Southampton we beat 7-0.
Yeah.
And beat Manchester United 5-1 the week before.
You won the cup.
We won the cup. And
we
were beaten by Wolves.
Yeah.
We needed a point to win. But what I'm saying is, Don said, right, forget about it. Just go out and play. Which we did. Do you know what I mean?
Pressure off.
And there was no, because, but to be fair to Don, what he did with the young lads in the first place was absolutely brilliant. But there was a stage, like Matt Busby, right, out you go and play. Don said, right, forget about the league, we're going for the cup, and that's it, go out and play. Absolutely brilliant.
John, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, that'll all be up on offtheball.com. Up next, we're talking about the new rules in Gaelic football with Declan Bonner and Turlough O'Brien.
Get up-to-the-minute news updates at newstalk.com and on the Newstalk app.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index, reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
The Harvey Norman Big Sale continues with further discounts and big savings on home appliances. Get the Siemens 8kg washing machine with iDose automatic dosing technology for just €555, saving you €144. Or get the Miele Classic Junior Powerline vacuum for just €99, saving you €40. And at Harvey Norman, we've matched all competitors' prices, so no need to shop around. The Harvey Norman Big Sale, in store and online. Don't miss out.
Go, Harvey, go!
Every brand has a story. Some are built over decades, others over centuries. Discover the German car brand, meticulously engineered over 120 years to bring you our cleanest, most efficient engines yet. Discover Opel. Come and celebrate Opel's 120-year anniversary event at your local Opel dealership. Choose your perfect 191 Opel, then choose your preferred offer, like 0% PCP or HP finance, a guaranteed minimum of €3,000 scrappage, or 3 years free servicing. Opel's 120-year anniversary event. From now until January 31st. Visit your Opel dealership for more. Opel, the future is everyone's. Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Hire purchase agreement provided by Bank of Ireland Trading as Bank of Ireland Finance.
Dublin Dockland skyline is changing, with new state-of-the-art buildings appearing. But one building will stand above all. This year sees the arrival of the EXO, Dublin's tallest office building at 17 stories, providing 170,000 square feet of Grade A offices. Situated at the Point Square on the Lewis Line and only 15 minutes from the airport, the EXO is a striking new landmark, providing unrivaled views of the city and office